Thank you so much for sharing your story with us.
Of course.
Do you want to share your name?
My name is Kayla,
And Kayla, where are you from?
Indiana.
Okay. Thanks so much. Kayla's sharing her story because in her very young life, she's experienced a lot and overcome a lot of struggles, and feels that by sharing her story, she can help others who need to hear it overcome their struggles too. It's a story of hope. So, and Kayla's only going to share what she's comfortable with, and this is her truth. So think back to a time in your life when you faced some difficulties or challenges. So only share what you're comfortable with, but maybe give us a little bit of a picture of what was going on at the time.
So it was like the beginning of 7th grade, and I lost one of my best friends. And it was hard because that led to me failing every class and getting super depressed. And it was also a fight because nobody would listen to me and help me with what I needed to be helped with.
That must have been a really difficult time in your life. Can you share a little bit of, and again, only what you're comfortable with, but what the key events were around that time or the issues and how they made you feel?
It made me feel really sad because it was his own brother who shot him because he didn't want to be in the gang that his brother was in.
Mm-hmm. That is really sad. I'm wondering, can you go into a little bit more detail, if you're comfortable, with the moments where you were trying to tell people what was going on? Because I think this is true for a lot of us, right? Like, we try to speak up and people don't always catch on to what's going on until it's really bad.
So I was doing counseling. My dad had me in counseling, and all they would literally have me do is sit there and play with something and talk about my family and stuff.
Mm-hmm. And you didn't feel like that was helpful?
No.
Okay. Are there other people who you told?
My brother.
Mm-hmm.
My brother listened to me, and then he took it on his own hands to go talk to my dad, and then that's how my dad helped me.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I see. So your brother was listening to you.
Yes.
And then your brother went and talked to your dad, and that's when your dad realized this is something serious. Salud.
Sorry.
It's okay. We are both vaccinated,
yes.
by the way, and have been tested for COVID recently. So
yes.
That's why we're not wearing masks. It's easier to hear us that way. So can you talk a little bit more about, are there other people, or no, okay, we talked about that. Talk about what would have been more helpful.
What would have been more helpful is the fact that I could have went and just talked to my dad, but I was also scared to talk to my dad and not having my dad spend money on counseling.
So you didn't want your dad...
I didn't want my dad to feel even sadder because that would make me sad and
Sure.
everything. Because I was already really sad and down about everything. Mm-hmm. And the only person I knew who wouldn't have been sad was my brother.
Okay.
So I went to talk to my brother, and I guess my brother talked to my dad.
I see. So, I think that's pretty common too. We often don't want to put our pain on other people that we care about a lot. And that must have taken a lot of courage to tell your brother.
Well, me and my brother were the best friends of ever, and I go to him with anything that I need to talk to him about.
Yeah. It's really lucky to have a person like that in your life, huh? Yeah. So can you tell us, how old were you at the time?
I had to be I think just 15 or around 12 to 15. I'm not really sure.
Uh-huh. So you weren't in high school yet?
We were just going to 7th grade, and he got shot. So I was just going to 7th grade, and he was going into 10th grade.
I see. Okay. That must have been really hard. How long did it take you to kind of get through all of that?
It took me up till I got out. I started I started like getting better by the end of 2019.
Yeah. So that's what, maybe about a year and a half?
Yeah, like after they like did away with like all the court dates and stuff, and finally arrested his brother, because his brother didn't just shoot my best friend, he shot like I think 5 other people.
That's really sad.
Yeah.
Really hard stuff. And what were some of the things that happened? So you told your brother, who told your dad, and then you got help. What were the things, how did you overcome? Because really, we all need those other people, but we all also do things that help us get through it, right?
I overcome because first I got a cat, and I had a ferret already. What I do is, like, I overcome by, like, petting my animals. Like, when I get sad, I bring my cat in the room and just pet her.
Yeah.
And it was also how my dad interacted with me. He never let me go in my room. He always was playing games with me, and he kept me busy.
That's good. What's your cat's name?
My cat's name is Kenai and Sugar.
Okay. So 2 cats and 1 ferret?
Well, we had a ferret.
Okay.
Her name was Fifi.
Oh, that's fun. Yeah, pets can be really, like, they love us no matter what, right?
Yes.
And I really like how you talked about how your dad really just kept you by his side.
Yes.
Kept you busy.
Because he said that he was depressed, and he said he already knew I was depressed. He was just waiting for me to come and open up to him. Because I would stay in my bedroom for weeks on weeks.
Yeah, that's really hard. So you've come through this, and you're really thriving now, right? What are some of the things that you learned, like some skills or some coping skills that you still practice today that helped you, that you know that you may not have learned had you not gone through that, but that you use moving forward?
Going to talking to, like, people I trust, or like my parents. Or like writing it down on a piece of paper, folding it up, and giving it to somebody.
Yeah, so that in case it's hard to say it out loud, you can do that. That makes sense. So for those other people who are watching, who may be experiencing something similar, or what advice would you give them?
Go talk to your parents. If they're like, go talk to somebody who you can like let out all your feelings, and they won't go tell people. Like, I personally don't like talking to counseling and stuff like that, because I feel like all they're going to do is write it down and try to make it feel better. But when I talk to a family member, they talk it out with me, and I like when like people like talk to me instead of like trying to help me like cope through it. I like people like helping.
Okay. Yeah, can you explain that a little bit more?
My brother, what he done was every other Friday he would take me out to like somewhere, and we would like shop, and then we would sit down for an hour and talk about the issue, and he would like build like a relationship around that issue, and like talk about how it's going to be good and not the negatives, the good stuff.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. So it was more about kind of noticing the things that were going well at the time, rather than do this thing to try to feel better.
Yes.
What about for the people who are watching who may really care about or love someone who's struggling in a way that, like you were? What would you want them to know?
Just go and talk to them. Like, if you keep your distance, they're gonna keep being sad. But if you like slowly go up and talk to them, they might open up and tell you what's wrong.
That's great advice. And again, I think you're just so strong and so brave to share your story, and I'm sure you have a lot to offer, and I'm sure you're helping other people by telling your story. Is there anything else that you want to share?
No. Just, if you need to like talk to somebody, try to talk to somebody who like makes you happy, or who you can trust.
Thank you, Kayla.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it. Bye.